2024 season is not too far out here. And Bryce, we're under 80. We're in the 80s here before we kick off against the Broncos, but a little bit of downtime still to go here. So we're coming at you with our top 25 most intriguing Seahawks for 2024. The roster's close to being set. Obviously, there's going to be a few changes. We just picked up a guy we're going to touch on, but so we're sort of in the spot now where we can sort of say, here's our 25, and we're going to break them down. Today's show on the Hawk Zone, we are going to start from our number 25th and give you four players that are from 25 down that are our most intriguing players. And guys, just before we get into that, though, if you like what you're hearing and watching, go down and hit the subscribe button and like button, notification button. And, it really helps us out, helps the channel, and just helps the algorithm out, and allows us to keep bringing you guys this content. And everybody that's been doing it, we really appreciate the support and continued support. So that being said, Bryce, what's happened? There's some news today that PJ Walker signed quarterback. Your thoughts on that real quick?
I really like it. So the reason I like it in a lot of ways is it gives the camp, like when you go into camp, you don't want to just go in with your two actual guys. So like Sam Howell and Geno Smith, you don't want to wear them out in camp. They're going to be getting lots of reps in the preseason, especially with this new offense that Ryan Grubb's bringing in. So bringing in PJ Walker is a good way to kind of temper that. Like if, say, Geno picks up on this offense really quick, okay, we don't have to leave him out in preseason games too long. We can get Sam in and we can go with PJ. And also, you could probably keep PJ Walker as one of your veterans on the practice squad throughout the season. I like some of his game. Like, he's got a big arm. Again, I think that's one characteristic we're kind of noticing with the Ryan Grubb offense is he likes guys that have the ability to push that ball down the field. He's got some athleticism. He's kind of, in a way, an in-between a Geno and a Sam with his skill sets. Like, he's got the big arm. He's got more of the athletic side of maybe what Sam has. He's not extremely tall or big. But you know what? For a third quarterback that you're going to bring in, I'd rather bring in this than like what we saw in rookie OTAs when we're hearing from the reporters that, well, the grass is getting more targets than the actual receivers because the quarterbacks can't seem to hit anything. So I think it's good. It gives them another option. It gives them a, insurance policy in this case of, an injury potentially to someone that they've got a guy now that's got NFL experience. So overall, I think it's a really good move by Seattle. But with that being said, that means somebody's coming off this roster to make room for PJ Walker.
Yeah, no, that's the thing that you kind of forget in all this. So, but like you said, it's good to have that veteran guy. Injuries, especially with quarterbacks, are happening all the time. So you hope that doesn't happen, but you got a guy who has a lot of NFL experience. So yeah, man, that good little pickup. And then so guys, before we kick off, just to let you guys know too, we got a couple of really cool shows coming up too. We got our all-time Seahawks team that Bryce and I are going to kind of go back and forth, put our teams together, all-time defense, all-time offense. So just stuff to look forward to in the next month, as well as some pretty cool guests that are coming up on the show. We got some really good shows coming up. Especially during this really basically the biggest lull before in the NFL 365 season, if you want to call it. So let's get right into it. Let's get it. 25 most intriguing.
Well, I'm the best corner in the game. What a run! Marshawn Lynch, get off me, DK.
Hey, it's John Schneider with Seattle Seahawks.
That's the results you gonna get.
This offense, just in general. I mean, you had a guy like
watching
that.
his film, he seems more of a back.
Just the presence he's got in that pocket, the way he throws the football. Rust days, man. All the scrutiny that line was under.
This Monday night's big.
We're gonna kick things off right now at number 25, and on the list, man, Sam Howell. You're number 25. Break down Sam and why he's number 25 on the list.
So I got Sam Howell on 25 on the list because I do think he's going to be one of the more intriguing players to follow this year, and one of the more intriguing situations coming into this because we didn't draft a quarterback. John Schneider went out, made the trade, brought us in a young guy that I think they view as someone that potentially could be a future starter for this team. He has starter upside. We've seen that. But I think he's intriguing because really it all depends kind of on how Geno's season starts and goes, I think, in a lot of ways, because this new coaching staff isn't married to Geno Smith like Pete Carroll and that staff was. So if Geno struggles, there could be an opportunity where they put Sam in earlier than expected, and we get to see what the Sam Howell Seahawk team could be looking like in, 2025, 2026. And you know what? I just think Sam's, got an interesting personality. Everything you read about him, he's an alpha. Listen to Ryan Grubb, Mike McDonald talk. John Schneider even today talked about it on the Insiders with Rappaport, Garofalo, and Paracello today on NFL Network about how much they really like Sam and how Sam's just got this kind of vibe to him. And I think that's what makes him more intriguing than, say, if Drew Lock had stayed on this roster because of Sam's personality, the type of player he is. So, yeah, that's number 25 for us is Sam Howell.
I'll touch on Sam real quick too, and it's funny you brought up Drew because I was thinking the same thing. Like he's, how you don't get too excited all the time about a backup, and that's why we sort of look at him as not just a backup. It's sort of that hybrid, if you want to call it. Like if Geno goes down, last year was like, oh man, if Geno goes down, Drew steps in. Yeah, I guess that's gonna work. Okay, we'll see what Drew's. But if Geno went down this year. And again, not you hope he stays healthy, but if he does, I just feel like the things that you just mentioned, the alpha, just all the things that are said, the style of play, it's like you would be more than confident with him stepping in. Plus, you kind of get to see you already auditioned last year in Washington, started every game. But now, if he picks up this Ryan Grubb system and with these weapons, right, we talk about it. That kind of gets you excited and maybe a little glimpse of the future. So, like you said, he's intriguing at 25 because, we just don't know how much he will see the field, right? So, but like I said, we're all excited about Sam, and he's just been growing on us as kind of the weeks have gone by, man. So, yeah, awesome. So let's get down to number 24, man.
So number 24 is Daryl Taylor.
Okay.
And so, as we know, Daryl Taylor got, tagged at the beginning of the offseason here with the tender. And then Seattle brought back the tender, took it off of him, and re-signed him essentially to a non-guaranteed deal. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how Daryl Taylor fits in the system with Mike McDonald now as the defensive coordinator, because he doesn't really offer you anything in run support. He's not really an edge-setting edge. He's truly more of a pass rush specialist, if you want to call him that. And he kind of had a down year last year. The year before, when Chenna was playing, he came off a 9.5 sack season. It was like, oh, man, our young guy that we took in the second round, he's starting to pan out. And then last year, he just kind of fell off a cliff once Chenna – I don't even know if he really got going, but even especially when Chenna kind of had his injury there, Daryl Taylor was basically a ghost. I never really looked in games and thought, hey, he's making an impact. Like, Boy Mafe jumped him on the depth chart pretty quickly. And so I think really it's a make or break it season right now for Daryl Taylor, especially this training camp coming up, because they did bring in some UDFAs. There's, Derek Hall is going to be breathing down his neck too for, play time. So Daryl Taylor's really got to stand out, I think, and really kind of cement a spot for himself in this rotation. Or else I don't know if Daryl Taylor comes out of camp potentially on this roster. I think there could be an opportunity where they trade him.
Yeah, like you said, the year before he had that 9.5 sack year. And I think we talked about, man, like this could be the right time to maybe move on from him just because, his trade value is so high. And you kind of looked at that stat where you're like, you know what, it looks good on paper. But, like he said, he's been sort of like sometimes you don't even know if he's on the field at times. So it was like, again, maybe they did try to shop him. Who knows? And maybe there just wasn't anything for him. You kind of say, well, you know what? He's still got some upside. And, it's going to be interesting too, because like when we had Dane on a few days ago, we talked about the D-line, and she said, one of the most exciting things about it is just the depth that, you're going to have now on that D-line. So, Chenna's healthy. You got, obviously Bryant, like all these guys, right? You got a few good edge guys. So, where does he fit in? That's where this list comes into play. Intriguing in the sense that where does Mike think he's going to be, fitting in this defense, right? So, because like you said, 9.5 sacks. I mean, that's not something that's the kid can play, and he came into this league like, okay, hey, this guy could be the next guy for us, right? So, and that's the interesting thing about now that we have this guy in Mike McDonald. What can you get out of a guy like Daryl? So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with him as well, man. Moving on, number 23, a guy that's been on the roster now a couple of seasons. Again, DB heavy. What we got, corners, came in the league as a corner, um, moved around, now looking like a safety. Kobe Bryant, man, you got him at 23. What do you like about him, and what's intriguing to you this year about Kobe?
Well, the thing for Kobe Bryant, to me, he's kind of had a similar start to his career as Trey Brown. Trey Brown came in,
Right.
Was pretty impactful when he did play as rookie, got an injury, missed essentially half a season, couldn't really work his way back last year into, the rotation, or 2 years ago, I should say, Trey Brown. And then last year, Trey Brown exploded. Well, Kobe Bryant's kind of gone through the same kind of situation. Started a lot as a rookie, played pretty well, got a toe injury in camp towards the end of the preseason in camp last year, and then missed half the season with the injury. They put him on the 6-game, or I think it was a 6-game IR. They brought him off, and he never really got back into what he was doing. And they had moved him last year, if you remember, to safety in camp because they had got Witherspoon, and they, had Brown healthy and Mike Jack and all these guys. And I truly think safety is actually Kobe Bryant's NFL position, not corner. And the reason I say that is he doesn't have great straightaway speed. Like, he can't turn and run, and he doesn't have the greatest of hips to do that. But what he does have, he has phenomenal lateral movement and comes downhill. And he's extremely intelligent. You look at a lot of the interceptions he got in college, and even the fumbles he created when his rookie year was due to his ability to be in the right spot at the right time. And so I think, there is a very good chance, I think Kobe Bryant may end up being one of the starting safeties at the end of the preseason. I know we have Jenkins. I know we have Kayvon Wallace that we brought in. Julian Love, I think, is pretty cemented. But I think if Bryant comes in, understands Mike McDonald's system really well, and really excels and plays free at a safety spot, because they don't have a free and a strong anymore like they used to. They just have 2 safeties now. I think there's a good chance Kobe Bryant could really push Jenkins and Wallace to the point where one of those guys may not make the roster because of how well he's playing.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see too, and it's interesting. So, it's just that safety room in general is going to be interesting. Like you said, you have a few on the roster, but it's like, man, like, who's the starter? Like you said, Julian Love, but then everything else is like it's really up for grabs. So, if he can come snag that, because I liked him coming right out of college too. So, again, another guy that intrigues you, because you're like, you don't really know. He doesn't really have a home yet as far as solidified position. Like, it looks like he's a safety now, because, like, let's face it, that cornerback room is freaking deep. We just drafted two more corners, right? So, like, that's not going to be where he is. So, yeah, man, it's going to be interesting to see really this year for Kobe, because I like him a lot. So, hopefully we see more of him on the field. He stays healthy too, and just really gets the system here with Mike. So let's get down to 22. Obviously 2 vacant spots, with Bobby and why am I drawing a blank here? The other help me out here real quick.
What? The Brooks?
Linebackers. Brooks. Come on now. So Brooks going to Miami. Bobby Commander. So, 2 vacant spots, 2 linebackers, and interesting, right? Because these guys are on sort of like, quote unquote tryout. Do you extend one of them long term? But right now at 22, you got one of the linebackers. Dodson is one of your intriguing Hawks for 2024. When you dive into him, what you like, what intrigues you there?
So with Tyrell Dodson, last year he had to step in for Milano and Buffalo, and he's a bit of an undersized linebacker. He's not a true, Mike linebacker. He's more of a Will. He had to play Mike a bit last year, and he did extremely well. Like, I think he finished the year, and I know a lot of people talk about PFF is how accurate is it. Well, he finished as one of the highest rated linebackers in PFF over a certain number of snaps taken. I think between Baker and Dodson, there's a better chance that Dodson will get a contract extension if he plays well than Baker. And, I think a big thing for Dodson is he's extremely smart. He understands scheme. And I think that's one big thing. Not saying that Brooks and Bobby Wagner weren't. And I don't think it's a case with Bobby. Bobby, as we know, is an extremely intelligent linebacker. But I think the one thing that, Brooks always seemed to struggle with a little bit was his diagnosing of what the offense was doing, and sometimes got himself caught out of position. I think Tyrell Dodson's a little bit better there. Brooks obviously way more athletic. That's not even a comparison. Brooks is probably one of the most athletic linebackers in the NFL. But I think that's maybe why, in some respects, Seattle went the way they did with linebacker, to get, some guys in here that fit with coverage a lot better too. And that's one thing that Dodson proved he could do. He can run down the field in coverage. So, yeah, I'm really intrigued to see what Tyrell Dodson, when him and Baker both get on the field, because they've kind of both been – Baker hasn't even been out really. He's been rehabbing from his offseason surgeries. Dodson's got a couple nagging injuries that are kicking around. So it'll be really interesting maybe this upcoming week, mandatory minicamp. But worst case, we'll see them come training camp. I want to see what these two look like paired together in the Mike Macdonald defense. Because I think they both have, the ability to really excel in what Mike does. And I think Dodson, between the two of them, is a more similar to a Patrick Queen type build. So maybe that's why they also went after him. But yeah, that's kind of my read on Tyrell Dodson.
Yeah, I like it. It's going to be interesting too, because, the linebacker to me is going to be one of the positions to really keep your eye on, especially, a Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer leaving, a guy in Brooks that, we were torn on, if the price is right, you bring him in, like you said, one of the most athletic linebackers, but again, change was needed across the board. So linebacker, like you said, a little undersized, but very intelligent. And it's just really a position where it's just really more the unknown of how they're going to work into the system. So yeah, there's four guys, for our viewers to kind of say, hey, starting off in the intriguing list, and just, hey, like, look out for these guys, because there's so many guys that, that are playing different positions. Sam Howell, you kicked off, start the show with, and they're all like, wow, you know what? You can really look at each one of them and say, pick them apart and really be like, man, they all have like, what if this hits? What if this hits? Sam Howell, this could be a future guy. I know we get excited and get ahead of ourselves, but it's one of those things. It's one of those years really where this more than anything, this list calls for it, right? So, guys, that's our first four, and we're gonna keep bringing you. What we're also gonna do is touch on the schedule, right? So the first game, Denver Broncos coming to town, man. They came into town 2 seasons ago, and that was a show, because you had the very first game, Russell suits up with a different team coming back in our house, and man, was that! I mean, that was must see TV. This is a little different. You got Sean Payton coming in. You potentially have a rookie quarterback starting. What's your thoughts on the first game? I know we're a little ways away, but Denver Broncos, Hawks, first game with Mike Macdonald.
Well, I think it's great that it's a home game for Mike Macdonald to start out with. He's going to get the 12s behind him. There's going to be a lot of excitement there. But in regards to our opponent, the Denver Broncos, just a little breakdown on them. So, obviously Denver shipped out Russell this offseason. They got rid of him. They offloaded him. And they added some pieces in the draft. Bo Nix, Jonas Ellis, the edge out of Utah, who we thought maybe a Seahawk guy at a potential point. Seattle made the trade with Denver in the draft. and Denver came up and got Troy Franklin out of Oregon, who is one of Bo Nix's top targets at Oregon. They added a corner. They added another running back, another receiver late, and then an interior lineman. But the thing that is kind of interesting, because I did a little bit of a dive on what's been going on at Broncos minicamp. How is Bo Nix, getting ready for the NFL? And, Stidham and Nix apparently have looked good, but we got to remember there's a new Wilson in Denver as they went out and acquired Zach Wilson, who's been actually taking quite a majority of the first team reps and is actually battling for the starting job. And, take that with a grain of salt. It's always camp talk, and we're kind of like, is it true? Is it not? I think there's a potential where Bo Nix may not be the starter week 1 unless he blows Sean Payton away, because we know Sean Payton's pretty stingy with his quarterbacks and who's in there and so on. So I could see a situation where maybe Jarrett Stidham is the guy that's the starter for a bit of the year. But there's a very good chance it could be Bo Nix. I don't look at Denver really. Like, they got Javonte Williams, who's a pretty good running back. They still have Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy there. I believe Jerry Judy's still there. I could be wrong though. But it's going to be really interesting to see what they do, especially with Cortland Sutton, because there was talks that they wanted him out of. Oh, sorry, I stand corrected. Jerry Jeudy got traded. I forgot that he got traded.
Yeah. I figured that. Yeah, I remember that.
But, you got to replace Jerry Judy's production. So that might be a Marvin Mims Jr., Tim Patrick, who can't seem to stay healthy, or the rookie Troy Franklin. But I just don't look at Denver's offense and I don't get scared. I don't go, oh, this is going to be a real tough test for Seattle coming out. If they do walk Bo Nix out on that field in Seattle and the fans are going nuts because it's this new era, it's not easy to win as a rookie quarterback in Seattle. And generally speaking, defenses tend to start out the season faster than offenses do. We know it takes timing to get everything going. So, looking at that first game, I really think Seattle could blow the doors off of Denver. Because even on Denver's defense, yes, they've got some pieces, but they don't have anything special to write home about.
Yeah, I mean, and that would be nice. I mean, that place is going to be rocking. It always is. It's a home game, but new era. I mean, people are going to be ready to go. So whether you got the rookie or Zach, I mean, I know you like Zach Wilson, right? So it's people writing him off again, really early in his career. So he gets another shot, and it's like, maybe he makes the best of it, but it's going to be tough for any young guy to come in, whether it's the rookie, whether it's Zach. That roster's just not that good. So, like you said, good opportunity for the Hawks to just, get out of the gate feeling good, blow the top off Denver and just, get out of there and go home 1-0. That's what we want to see. And so, we're a little low, but it's going to come quick, man. So, hopefully we're 1-0 and then we move on and we can get ready for the New England Patriots minus Bill Belichick there.
Yeah. So obviously week 2 of the season, we got to travel to New England. And everything that I've been reading is that it sounds like Jacoby Brissett's being tagged as the starting quarterback there. Not Drake May, which I think might be the better play with May. They obviously have a new coach in Gerard Mayo. So it's going to be really interesting. Again, New England, they don't have any weapons, man. Like, they took Jalen Polk in this year's draft out of Washington. I think he's going to be a good receiver. He's not a number 1 receiver in the NFL. He's maybe a 2. I think he's more of a 3 potentially. He could rise into being a solid, number 2 receiver though. But the one thing is, watching Drake May and stuff, you can just see the mechanical issues in his game that aren't, out yet, that haven't been fixed. I talked with Dan Viens the other day in, an episode where we talked about quarterback mechanics because I coach quarterbacks, I've trained them, I played the position. And I do a lot of deep dive in how mechanics should look, how they shouldn't look. And, everyone's a little bit different, but there's certain kind of non-negotiables with your throwing. And Drake May's got some issues that it's like these should have been kind of worked out already. So again, this is another team where I look at their offense and I go, nothing on that offense gives me any worry with this, talent that we have on our defense and buying into Mike McDonald's, system. The biggest thing I think for us in these first 2 games is how quickly can our offense get off the ground. how quickly does Ryan Grubb's system for us, New England's going to be coached well. Gerard Mayo's a very good defensive-minded coach. I think their defense will be better than people expect. It was pretty good last year even. I just think if it's Jacoby Brissett versus Geno Smith in week 2, I give us the odds, even though we're going to, New England. And again, the thing that'll be interesting in that game is it'll be Mike McDonald's first road trip. And we know that Pete usually had these guys up to play on their Eastern trips whenever they go out East. So yeah, it'll be an interesting one. But for me personally, in the first 2 games of this year, I really could see Seattle coming out being 2-0. I don't see them coming out and just face planting and having a dud, because you have such a carryover of players that have a standard, that want to win, that want to prove people wrong. I honestly think based off the first 2 games, we're probably sitting at 2-0 when we come back to Seattle for our week 3 game versus Miami, which we will talk about on our next episode when we pick that up.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what everybody wants to see. 2-0 with the new regime, feeling good. And like you said, man, carryover roster, veteran players. You're not dealing with a bunch of young guys. We had Dana on a few days ago, and we talked about that wide receiver room. Exactly the same. Geno Smith, exactly the same. Your 2 tackles, exactly the same. You drafted a couple of guys in the interior. That interior needs work regardless. It's just a matter of, I don't know, man. I look at, I guess you can do worse than Shane Waldron, with schemes, but like, that's what I mean, man. As long as these guys are picking up Grubb's scheme, and I mean, you already just think that the offense is just gonna click. I think, like you said, defense again, but just because Mike's so complex and there's a lot to learn, that I could see a few mistakes happening. But the offense, man, it's just like, you got a lot of veterans there that just know how to do it. Like you said, come out and let's get to work, and let's get out of New England 2-0, get ready for Miami in our house. That would be awesome, man. Awesome episode, man. Awesome to break down guys, and I can't wait to keep doing this for the next little bit leading up to camp. I think it's awesome to just give everybody that watches the channel just an insight to all these guys. Some guys you might not even really know. Like, a lot of people, they know Sam, but they know Dodson. But there's so many moving pieces this year and new guys that it's just nice to sit down and, hey guys, let's give you guys 4 guys right now that we think that, hey, they're intriguing. Watch out for this. This could happen. So I'm excited for the future episodes. And guys, just to know, there's in between, we're gonna have the guests coming back. So we're busy here. And then then when it comes first part of July, we're gonna take a little hiatus. So June's a busy month, man. So keep it locked. Hawks Zone Rundown, man. That's it for tonight. And
don't forget, guys, comment. If you want, you disagree with us, please comment. We love interacting with you guys on the page and stuff. So if you got guys, or you got questions about other guys on why weren't they put in the top 25, please leave your comments below in the comment section here on the show. We love talking with you guys about that.
Absolutely. Yeah, got that. Comments are huge. And like Bryce said, we love engaging with you guys. So toss comments, throw guys that you think that we should look out for. And we'll have a fun combo with that. So that's it for tonight, man. Catch us on the next one. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.